Okay, everybody, I wanted to talk you through your transcription project. First, as you know, you do need to record yourself being the counselor for 20 minutes at least, and then you will also be the interviewee for 20 minutes as well. So each one of you in your dyad, you see try some okay. So, yeah. So, um, to enter your data into this column. The verbatim transcription, as you will see in the sample, is literally what you said and did in the video. So here you'll see the word counselor. It doesn't need to be italicized necessarily. And then what the counselor said, and then in brackets or parentheses, what the counselor did, maybe a nonverbal or, a movement, anything like that that you can indicate, because remembering nonverbals are just as important as verbals. So we want to make sure that we capture those nonverbals as well. Now, one thing that is really critically important is that you recognize that you need to fill in all three of these columns as much as possible. Now, you'll note that in some of these situations, the counselor didn't, because this one particularly doesn't need an evaluation. It's just the opening. So, but she could have noted that this was a door opener and what that does for the client. So it is possible you could have had a response here. Then notes what the client or interviewee says, then the counselor. Now this is really important. This second column is where you're going to identify what skill was used and how did you know it was the skill, okay? And this is where you'll incorporate your course material as well. So this is a good basic description. I would probably want more. I might want to say that this particular statement was both rapport building and nonverbal, and why. So this student did really well, and you can see another example here of the door opener. Okay. Recognizing this wasn't necessarily a question as much as an invitation for the client to speak. So that would have taken it even further. Now, so verbatim transcription, who said what and what did they do? Competency and skills is what competency is used and how do you know that that is the skill that's actually being demonstrated. And then this column, which is the most important column, is the evaluation of the counselor's response. Now, one thing that's just I cannot stress enough is you must have an evaluation of the counselor's response throughout your transcription. You will lose points if you skip sections or don't analyze your response, or if you say, this is great, this is wonderful, this is fine, and you don't do any form of analysis. Remember, this is a transcription and an analysis, so you actually need to analyze what you said and what you did. And there is always room for improvement, so making sure that you note what you could have done to enhance the response, to make the response even better, is absolutely critical. There's always room for improvement. If somebody writes a response, this was a good response, they will not get credit for that section. They will lose points. You need to have some discussion about what made it good, what didn't make it good, and how you would improve it. Something like this as well, you can see how this individual talked about it. Then she also provided information about what she could have done differently, okay? And you'll see that this continues throughout. The counselor here just did a nonverbal. She talks about how it's nonverbal, and then she also goes through and talks about how it was helpful to the client. It kept the session consistent. In future uses, the body position might be important as well. So she is providing a critical evaluation, like, well, this is pretty good and appropriate at this point. I could have even taken it further with this. All right. So you will note here that this is a nonverbal. Nonverbal, you don't need to keep repeating the definition. If it's a nonverbal, it's a nonverbal. Okay. Minimal encouragers, descriptions. Here you can see that she's elaborating on what she could have done. Same thing here. Even some alternative information as well. Now, here's where your opportunity comes in to add in skills you might have forgotten. So let's say you do your whole transcription and you realize, I didn't do any challenges. What am I going to do? I don't want to lose on that. So what you will do is you identify a skill that you didn't actually demonstrate in your role play. I want you to go back into your transcription from the very beginning and begin to figure out, okay, in response to this interviewee, where could I have done, say, a challenge? And when you find a place that you could have done the challenge, I want you to add more information to this column, another paragraph, for example. So I could just go, enter here, and then I could begin typing. And what I want to do is I want to say another possible response to the interviewee at this point would have been a challenge. An example of a challenge that could have been used would have been, X and Y in quotations. And the reasons that a challenge would have been appropriate here would be because the client had a notable difference in their verbal or nonverbal, or the client was sharing information that seemed in conflict, but the client didn't appear to be aware of conflict. Therefore, a challenge would have been appropriate. So things like that. So if you miss a skill in your role play, I want you to look for a place in your role, in the transcription, where you could have used the missing skill. I want you to identify what the missing skill is, how you would have used the missing skill, what it would have sounded like, and then the rationale for using that skill at this point. So that's how you will kind of fill in the gaps, so to speak, on any skills that are missing in your transcription and analysis. Now, so that's these three parts. So again, verbatim transcription, who said it, colon, what they said, and any nonverbals in brackets. Clinical skills and competencies are identifying the skills and making sure you're integrating the course material. And evaluation of counselor's response is looking for ways to make it even better. So definitely not saying that it was awesome and you were great. There's always room for improvement. It's also the column that you can use to provide additional skills that you might have missed in doing your actual role play. Now, self-evaluation or self-reflection. SMART goals. Here you need to write a reflection about what the process was like for you. And I wanted to show you, as you can see, this is very long. It takes a very long time to do. And we're scrolling down, 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 pages and pages and pages of transcription and analysis, all the way down, 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 down. Sorry, taking so long to get there, but she had a really good transcription. And eventually we will get to the bottom of the transcription and be able to see the third part. I'm hoping that we'll get there sooner than later. Let's see, where is, sorry guys, I can't see, oh there it is. Okay, scrolling. All right, so this is the self-reflection. Again, see she maintained the heading. Here she talks about what the experience is like. Note she's integrating course material, which is an excellent technique. Talks about strengths and weaknesses. Talks about here what it was like. Here's her strengths. Here's the challenges she still faces. And then she goes into her SMART goals. Now, I wanted to point out this particular goal right here. Okay, so in this particular goal, she's noting what she will be doing, working on, so it's specific. She's noting how often she's going to do it, so she's providing some measurable outcome, like is she doing it 3 times, is she doing it 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, what's she doing? Timeliness, by when, she's going, how is she going to do it? She's going to record in a journal. So she's getting all the components of the SMART goal here. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic, and it's timely. Some students I've noted are providing like a specific statement, a measurable statement, an achievable statement, but they really aren't linked together. And you'll see that this particular student wrote her SMART goal within 2 sentences. In other situations, a student can write it in maybe 1 sentence. So you want to make sure that you are utilizing all the components of the SMART goal within 1 goal and not, trying to come up with a specific goal and then a measurable goal that don't relate to each other. It needs to be 1 goal that's all of those things. And then the references. Okay, references, if it bothers you, which it does me sometimes, the APA format isn't right on these templates, but the program provides these templates, so we have to use them. You can put references on the next page, but in this particular assignment, it's perfectly okay to have your references just following as it does in the template. Okay, so that's an overview of the transcription project. I really just want to stress to you guys the importance of this 3rd column. That's probably the #1 mistake students make, is they think that they don't need to analyze it, but I want to stress that it's really the main purpose of this particular assignment is to see how you analyze your own work. Then the 2nd column is identifying what the skill is and why you know it to be that skill, and then making sure you have all the information you need, including verbal and nonverbal in the 1st column as well. Okay, I hope that this particular video has been really helpful to you and has given you a good overview of what's expected of the transcription project. As always, let me know if you have questions or concerns. I'm happy to help you and support you however I can. Thank you.